So I was browsing through social media, and this one from Gamesradar popped up where it says Starfield Sleuth spends 200 hours piecing together the entire skill tree for the upcoming Bethesda RPG and says there's over 60 skills in total. Now, the skeptic in me saw that headline and went, surely someone. But then I was like, you know what? Data miners do some pretty impressive stuff these days. And on top of that, you've got the fact that they have put out a ton of development videos over the past, I don't even know, like couple years. I've only been really digging into it since Starfield Direct, and I've, sort of had it in my radar for the past few years, but I've never actually actively watched stuff. So I guess this is someone who has spent a ton of time diving into everything. And while I was a skeptic at first, what convinced me was when you go over to the imager that they've got, and they've got just so many screenshots that they've pulled out of all of these dev videos they've watched over the past few years and blog posts that have been made by Bethesda people and everything else. And I went, okay, this person has actually, I mean, they've whole hogged this and gone sort of over the rails, which is not a bad thing. I think this is great. So when you see resources like this pop up, I think that over time as a wiki gets populated with content, this is the type of stuff we're going to start to see more of. What's one of the reasons I'm so excited about the game because we don't really know what the depth of everything is, and if this is all, if this is true, which even I think the article even says that it more than likely it's looking like it's probably pretty authentic given the fact that this person has done all this research and it's all from live streams and everything else. The caveat for me would be the fact that everything that's been shown even up to Starfield Direct, we have no idea what version of the game that those video clips were being shown from and what can still change between now and launch because we're still, a month out. Have they made the gold announcement yet? Like this is the version that's ready to ship. Do they even make those announcements? I don't know. I think there's a lot of variables in there as to how early on in the early access were some of these screenshots taken, have those abilities been combined into something else? Have they been removed from the game entirely? Again, there's a little bit of, I don't want to call this rumor mongering, but at the same time, it's like it's hopeful thinking. I don't want to call it wishful thinking. It's hopeful thinking, and it feels pretty legit based on what I can see and read about it. But just want to make sure that I get that disclaimer out there for everybody to understand that, even Gamesradar, who reported on this, was like, yeah, hey, just caveat this stuff. But it says here that this fan has spent more than 200 hours compiling the game's skill system based on footage and teaser trailers. I guess I don't do Reddit, so apparently there's a subreddit here. It says there's a subreddit post that's a culmination of 200 hours of research, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a 44-page Google document with all evidence of every Starfield skill, including breaking them down into categories like physical and social skills, which is, it's pretty redonkulous when you think about. So the user has broken every skill down into tiers from novice to advanced, expert, and master, which I think we've seen in videos even from the Starfield Direct. It says you need to have a grand total of 16 skill points to level any ability all the way up from novice to master based on the research that they found. There's over 100 images over here to dive into if you want to. And it says here they have pulled together skill trees that include physical, social, combat, science, and tech categories, well over 60 individual skills to invest in. Um, it's um, it's impressive, everybody. I think that for me personally, I every time I've played a Bethesda game, I have easily gotten 100, 150 hours out of those games. That's a somewhat broad range, but 100-hour minimum is pretty much everything I've ever done from any game I've played with them. Just because there's usually so much to do in terms of side quests and just immersing yourself in whatever game it is that they've produced. I love Bethesda as a company, and I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, going all the way back to Morrowind. I'll still never forget the sense of like awe that I felt when I logged into Morrowind for the first time, and you're on the boat. And there's all the voiceovers, and you're being taken to that little island, and you get off as a prisoner, and then you go forth from there. And the adventure that you have in Morrowind was for me, especially considering that it was all done in a 3D environment. To this day, Morrowind stands out as one of like the pinnacle games of RPGs that I've played over the years in terms of those first-person immersion games. And um, I've loved everything since then. And I've been recently digging into Fallout 4 because I'd never played it because I was traveling full time. I did a first impressions video the other day, and one of the things that really struck me, because if you've watched I think the last one of the two videos ago, I talked about how I was still deciding whether or not I was going to go first person or third person in this game. And the more I look at screenshots, and also the more that I um, have played Fallout 4 now and just diving in a little bit, I definitely am going to be going. Um, what's up,
First
everybody?
person.
Quick commercial break here to give it a shout out to our guild champions, who are the highest tier memberships here on YouTube: Ancient Entity, Assassin Gamer 94, Bubalonia Rising, Crazy's Relative, Mujin, and Remedy. Thanks so much for the highest tier membership, and thanks to all of the members who support the channel, because you keep me doing this full time. You too can become a supporter if you're new here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Join as a member. There's 3 different tiers. We do lots of special stuff, private polls, private videos. You get a shout out if you're the highest tier membership, but you can also do one-off donations in the form of super chats on any live stream or premiere you see, and of course super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Whatever you can contribute, it's great. Keeps me on the air full time, keeps the cats fed, keeps the homestead running. Anyway, back to the video,
Um,
everybody. First person in Starfield, because look at these screenshots, like, of all the skills you get and everything else. They're showing a lot of this other stuff, but like, I just love this first person look. I just think for me it's going to be great. Something else that relates to skills, there's a separate thread I saw them. It wasn't big enough for me to do a video on unless I decide to, mine it out. But one of the most recent video clips of Starfield and the skill system in particular shows that the pickpocketing skill, which traditionally has been something you could just sort of walk up to a mob, trigger it, and untrigger it, right, and be done with it. This time you actually have to actively follow your target through the game. So you have to maintain stealth while pickpocketing them as the target is moving. And I think that just further illustrates the depth at which Starfield is going with their skill system. So again, I would say that if this is all true, if this is legit, this is a really, really cool thing for someone to have worked on, and gives us I think a broader picture of what Bethesda is putting into Starfield. I'm not one of those people who's worried too much about bugs on the first day. I'm going to be playing it on the console, so I expect it to be a fairly smooth experience. It's not multiplayer or anything like that. So I've got the premium version. We're going to get some Head Start access, and I can't wait to start cranking stuff out, including confirming any of this information and be able to get you guys an actual launch version of a skill tree and everything else as we get deeper into our Starfield prep. So if you like everything you heard here today, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Tune in to further live streams if you want to catch up with us as we're playing Baldur's Gate 3 and the other things that we're doing leading up to the launch of Starfield. And I'll be streaming this game a lot once it comes out. Don't forget to check out the playlist, Discord. Links are down below. I'll see everybody in the next video. Until then, stay safe. Happy gaming.